Hi guys, PJ here. Today we're taking a rather in-depth look at controllers. You've all used them, you've all played around with them and spent many hours with them in your hands. So it makes sense to sort of have the best one, the most comfortable, and to be honest the best value, because some of them are quite expensive. So I've got a selection of controllers to my left here. I've put quite a lot of hours into most of them, and I'll give you my personal opinion, my thoughts on them all. See if you sort of agree with that. So on with two. When PlayStation first came out, PlayStation 4, your standard issue controller that came with it was a bit hit and miss. It was a bit of a lucky draw, to be honest. I myself, with the launch edition, had 4 controllers where either the R2 button packed up, as in it snapped inside and you had to replace the button and the little spring clip and everything in there, and I also had the thumbsticks wear out all the way down to the plastic. 4 controllers, pretty clearly a cheap sort of original design, or a defect if you like. PlayStation sort of realised this and revised them slightly. This particular one is still a Gen 1 controller, so it doesn't have the light at the top of the bar here, but I've had this quite a long time. It's had a lot of heavy use, and as you can see, the thumbsticks are still in fantastic condition there, no problems at all. Feature wise, PlayStation have definitely got it licked. There's a lot of features on these that aren't on other controllers by other makes, such as your touchpad, your microphone built in. First time I really encountered that properly was in Alien Isolation. That was quite an interesting thing to crack off there. And the share button, of course, that we all use. Having a dedicated button for pictures and video is an excellent feature. Quality wise, I don't know, I still think they're a little bit weak feeling. There's not really any feel of firmness there. They're not very heavy, they're very light, and they are quite small, so if you've got larger hands, you are going to get hand ache. Occasionally I suffer from hand ache with these, but overall they've improved them, and they moved on to the later one, which just turn it on. It's got a little light bar on the top there as well as the front. Don't know why they did that. I think it's something to do maybe with PSVR and tracking. Couldn't tell you. Looks nice, but hey. Feels a little bit more solid than the revised white one here. Like I said, I've not got one of the early ones because unfortunately they all packed up in one way or the other. So, but yeah, this one feels a little bit more solid, a little bit better put together. Thumbsticks have got no signs of wear. Then again, nor of these, and I say they've had hours. Decent controller, yeah, a little bit more weighty maybe. Yeah, tiny bit. I'd have to weigh it to be sure. Maybe it's just me, I don't know, but it certainly feels like they've had a look at it and revised it somewhat. So yeah, PlayStation fans at the moment pretty well catered for. The only negative, if I'm going to be real picky, is design choice, individualism. Let's face it guys, as much as I like PlayStation, we've got the choice of what? Red, white, blue, black, camo, maybe a couple of others, but they are pretty boring compared to the competition, if you know what I mean. I think they could do with either introducing I don't know, some sort of better colours and stuff, better customization on the colours and the triggers and the thumbsticks. Maybe it's just me being picky, I don't know, but you've got your controller and that's it. You like it, you're red, you're blue, you're black, job done. Hey ho. So yeah, overall PlayStation, decent controller, loads of functions on it, really good for functions. Original ones, bit potluck, you might have had some rubbish there. But you do have another option, of course. I will point out for the PlayStation users, you could buy a Scuf controller. I'll cover Scuf in a moment because I've got one here, but you do have that option. You can go for a fully customizable controller, built to your own spec in whatever colour you want. However, price tag, and that is a biggie. So like I say, I'll cover Scuf in a moment, but you have got that option, PlayStation controllers. Yeah. Moving on to Xbox and PC controllers. Obviously you can use a PlayStation controller on a PC, that's not an issue. However, a lot of stuff in Steam and whatever is pretty much natively set up for an Xbox controller. It's up to you how you go with that. I've always used an Xbox controller on PC. But options wise, yes, compared to PlayStation, you've got bigger options nowadays. We started off with the black ones, the Day One controller, of which I have actually got one of those and it still works, so that's pretty good. They do suffer from their own problems though, just like PlayStation. I had one where, I had two actually, thinking about it, where the left stick drifted. So in other words, you'd be running forwards and then stop and your character would carry on running, or you'd be aiming and the character would be looking at the sky. You know, stick drift on them. Not a simple repair. You are talking buying a new micro switch and micro soldering it to the circuit board. If you have that problem with the controller, get a new controller. It's much easier if you're unlucky, sort of thing. Most other problems, you know, like buttons and stuff, yeah, you can fix them. They're pretty easy to take apart and repair. I'll be doing a full repair video on both PlayStation and Xbox controllers as soon as time allows. Pretty straightforward, you know, there's nothing to it. So we'll cover that in depth later on. But yeah, anyway, on to the actual controllers themselves. Functions wise, yeah, compared to PlayStation, they are definitely lacking. I mean, we don't have a dedicated share button. We don't have a speaker built in or a touchpad as such. However, ergonomics, how comfortable it is to hold, personally, it's on another level. I feel they're a lot more comfortable to hold, they're more natural to hold. Thumbsticks being staggered as opposed to thumbsticks being in a, you know, a straight line. It's personally, for me, more comfortable. Now, there's a lot of variation in the Xbox controllers. As you can see, I've got a selection of them here. The original black plastic ones, they do the job. You know, they normally last a long time. They're quite sturdy. They're not very heavy, and they don't have any grips underneath. So you may think, well, that's minor. But if you've played an Xbox game for a long time and your hands have got hot, the grips underneath are certainly a welcome aspect. I would miss them a lot. Now, the grips, there's actually different sorts of grips on different Xbox controllers. My personal favourite is something I've cobbled together here. This controller being a Dusk originally, and I fitted it out with the rubber textured grips from the Luna. You know, the white Luna controller that you can buy. That's a nice controller. It has the covered buttons. They've got like a texture covering on them. This controller's got them as well. So the Dusk and the Luna have both got the covered buttons. They're not shiny black plastic. They've got like a texture to them. But these pieces underneath are rubberized, so they've got a nice grip to them, a nice firm grip, and the controller feels chunky and heavy, which is nice. It's overall a nice controller. Like I say, this one's actually a bit battered. This silver's wearing off the Xbox button. It's got scuffs on it here and there, and it's because I've used it a lot. Working in the industry, there's many hours being used with this particular controller, and it's still going strong. Your other option, if you've got an original black one, is to buy one of the S controllers. Okay, the S controllers changed a bit, as you can see. I mean, you probably know already. They're all moulded around the button area here. They're all just a moulded sort of design instead of separate parts. But critically, they have a version of the texture underneath. I mean, you can't really see it here on the camera. It's too fine to see, but it is bumpy. It's got like a textured sort of grain to it. It's not as nice as the rubber on these sort of things, but it's certainly a help. It certainly lets you grip it, and I have no problem using one of these S controllers for many hours, you know, without any need to mod it or buy a different controller. They're a very good controller. Reliability, not had one go wrong yet, so they've obviously looked at that. Obviously, all S controllers come with the jack in the back, headphone jack. On the older controllers, I mean, I'm talking like launch year type controllers, you have to have an adapter plugged in, big clunky thing here. You can still use the adapter with these controllers, but it's easier obviously to just plug a jack in and away you go. Now, on the newer controllers, you have what's called Design Labs. You've probably seen it on your Xbox dashboard. You can customize your controller, you can order one to spec, all different colors, different buttons and everything. Really nice. Seen a few of those now in various arrays of colors. Nice option, nice thing to have. Customization on the controller, very popular. Something I think Sony should certainly look at. Functions wise, sadly lacking, like I was saying. However, you can get around some of the function problems. If you have a genuine Microsoft chat pad and maybe some third-party ones support it, I don't know, you have 2 extra buttons, X1 and X2. You can program them. As default, I think it's X1 is screenshot and X2 is record video. So that gives you the same ability as the share button on the PlayStation controller. Nice and easy. You don't have to mess around pressing the Xbox button, coming out your game and then pressing record. You can just stay in game, press record, carry on with your game. That is one of the main reasons I have a chat pad attached to the controller. Literally. That and typing in really long redemption codes, which is a pain. But these 2 buttons, they are worth the purchase price of this chat pad. This chat pad now is quite old. I've had it some years, and again, it's been unplugged many times, plugged in different controllers. Never had an issue with it at all. So good bit of kit. I advise you to get the genuine one. The aftermarket ones, a lot of them from what I've seen do not have these 2 extra buttons on them, and let's face it, it's one of the main reasons you're going to buy it probably. Hey ho. Right, moving on. I told you earlier on I'd be looking at Scuf controllers. Well, this might surprise you what I'm going to say, I don't know, my opinion. Here's a Scuf controller, Xbox One, and, well, Xbox PC. Shouldn't get that right there for all the PC gamers starting to scream at me. Scuf controllers, how can I put it? If you have an Elite controller, you'll stick with that. They're a good bit of kit. Elite controller is nice and weighty, lots of adjustments you can do. You can change all your sticks in and out, stuff like that, and just the weight and the overall quality feel is excellent. However, just because it's an Elite controller, it's not actually built any stronger than an original Xbox controller. I do know of cases where they've had stick drift on them, where the little micro switches have knackered up inside, and that's pretty much game over for the controller. You know, you've got to buy a new one or pay somebody to micro solder a new micro switch into it. Anyway, Scuf as a comparison to Elite. This particular Scuf is the fully kitted out one, and it's got the bag of bits with it. You can take bits off and faff about with it. As lockout triggers. It's on lockout at the moment, good for FPS games. You don't have to press the trigger as far in to get your shot. And obviously, for quickness, you've got your under buttons here aligned to your top control buttons. It is a good controller, don't get me wrong, they are good controllers and widely advertised as being the best. This particular controller has the option of having Scuf thumbsticks, okay, which I've got somewhere, I think there's a little bag here. However, I've had one set of Scuf thumbsticks wear out, literally fall to pieces rather quickly as well, so I wasn't impressed, to be fair. It's currently running the non-S ones. It's just got the normal look ones in there. They seem to be holding up okay. These are not cheap controllers. You know, like in Elite, these are £150, and whether or not you feel they're worth it is purely to your own avail. Personally, I don't think they are worth it. There you go, I've said it. Because the original Xbox controllers are so good, I don't think these are worth it unless you're in Pro League gaming or you really are trying on something like COD and you do want the underneath paddles. Value wise though, no. I mean, we haven't got grips on the inside of this particular one, but we have got the bumpy knurled things on the edge. However, the controller comes with non-trigger lockout, smooth versions, which means you've got no grip at all underneath. You can customise them, like I say, you can alter them as to you please. They do come with a key there, you can pop that in and undo it, turn it and take the stick out and put different sticks in. They come with this device, which is basically a plastic leverage tool, and you're meant to put it down the edges and pop off the underside grips here. You've got to be a little bit careful with this, as I found out only, was it yesterday, when I was swapping the grips over. You can slice your finger really nicely, really deeply with this thing when it slips, and I was pouring with blood for many minutes from it. Could be me being clumsy, but hey, just a warning, the sharper than the look. He also comes with your Scuf Allen key, which is to do your trigger adjust. You pop that in there and you turn it and it alters the adjustment on the trigger, the lockout. But I do come back to what I originally said. I don't actually believe they're worth it. I actually regret buying this in full. If you want to spend a lot of money on a controller because you want something that feels quality, I'd say buy the Elite. Don't get me wrong, I personally wouldn't spend the money on an Elite either. Maybe that's me being tight, I don't know. Normal Xbox controller, pretty much good enough, to be honest, unless you're really fanatical about it all. Yeah, nice looking, good customization. You can get them coloured in anything you want, you know. But nah, quality, I'm not so convinced. Scuf, this one's certainly started to wear out pretty quickly. Not my cup of tea, shall we say. So, from that, we can basically gather that there's a lot of options on controllers. We think Sony should go a little bit more and do some really nice colours. There you go, some ideas there. There's a green Scuf and a red Scuf there. So Sony could probably do something like that, you know, colour them up a bit. Microsoft, maybe when you release the Scorpio or whatever the hell it's going to be, Xbox One X, add a screenshot button in your controller, please, for everybody. You know, you not necessarily need the speaker, but screenshot button, that would be ideal. Well, I hope you liked this review. Like I say, it's all my own personal opinion on things. I'll be doing a few more hardware reviews. I've got a gaggle of gaming mice to do, and headsets. Got a range of those to review. All my own opinion. If you've got any feedback on it, you got your own thoughts or you disagree, etc., please leave me a comment below, and think about clicking like on your way out and subscribe for many, many more. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.